Hey there, it's Emily with 2 Shots of Geek, and today we have...
Scott, KaiserNeko of Team FourStar.
All right, and DBZ Abridged.
Yeah.
How did you get started with that? Like, what was your inspiration?
Well, there was a young British gentleman named Martin Billany. He went online as Little Creebo, and basically he started a Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged, which took the collectible card game anime Yu-Gi-Oh! And then made a farce of it. He shortened it, redid all the scripts, redid all the music and sound effects, and made it a comedy. Well, there were a lot of people who were inspired by that. You're going to find a million different abridged series online that were all, the series that, that set 1,000 ships. I don't know. But basically the idea was, there are a couple of us, myself, Curtis, Takahata 101 Arnott, and Nick Lenny Orlandis, we were doing our own series. I was doing a Loop on the Third abridged, Taka was doing a G-Gun abridged, Delaney was doing a Yu Yu Hakusho abridged. And I became friends with one of them, Curtis Arnott, Takahata 101, and he asked me, well, if you could be doing any show, what would it be? And I told him Dragon Ball. I grew up with Dragon Ball. It was a series that I'd always loved and always enjoyed. And basically, there was a couple conversations. I talked to Lanny, and basically he agreed if he just got to be one of the writers and got to play Vegeta. And I promised I would be the editor and I would get all the work done. And next thing we knew, we had our episode 1 done, and then episode 2, and then episode 3 and 4, and it kept growing and kept getting subscribers, and now we're here today.
Did you ever expect it to be as big as it is now?
Absolutely not. It never crossed our mind that we'd be this big. I mean, 1.8 million subscribers. We were expecting 100,000 at tops. We never knew we'd be invited to this many conventions. We thought maybe we'd get a convention invite someday. We never thought that we'd be working for Funimation, and now I'm doing Walla there. I've been getting auditions. I was in the Dragon Ball Z Resurrection F movie, Takahata 101. It was in one of the games. We never thought we'd get any of this. And as nice as it is to name drop some celebrities and brag about our accomplishments, it is really humbling, because the fact of the matter is we got lucky. We got so lucky that it caught on like it did. I mean, I believe 100% that we work with some talented individuals, but there is a certain amount of serendipity that comes to becoming this famous. I don't think it's all talent, and that would be a lie for me to say it was.
All right. So you mentioned Little Karibo. We've interviewed him before.
He's a fantastic guy.
He is, and he plays Frieza.
Yes.
In the Dragon Ball Z Abridged. Do you play
Frieza?
Yes. Do you play any in Yu-Gi-Oh at all, or?
Yeah. Both. All three of us, including Masako and HBI2K, we all ended up playing a bunch of different characters in one arc. We were basically the head executives at 4Kids Animation, which that was the whole joke.
Yes.
But I played from the legal department, Johnson, and Johnson, basically with my best Northeast upper crust. So, and I know that Taco was the penguin guy, and there were a bunch of different characters that were a lot of fun to play. So.
All right. So Dragon Ball Z Abridged has kind of inspired like Two Saiyans Play and stuff like that. Did that just kind of start out as just kind of like a game, like you were playing and was like, oh, Vegeta says something, or?
Well, it started out because we saw the whole Let's Play thing going on. But it would be kind of fun if it all started out with TFS plays, and those were just a bunch of like Lanny, Bator, Ganshinba, myself, Taka, getting together in Left 4 Dead. And then we played a couple of other different games. We played Halo Reach, and it was a lot of fun. But ultimately, we kind of started running out of games for 4 people to play online, and the next thing we knew, they kind of just petered off. But we wanted to continue doing the video game stuff, partially because it was a lot of fun, and partially because we can't monetize Dragon Ball Z Abridged. And I'm not going to lie, we spend many hours working on the show. And if we wanted to make it a full-time thing where we didn't have to focus on another job, we needed another source of income. So ultimately, the Let's Plays were a way for us to make money on the side while continuing Dragon Ball Z Abridged, while continuing Hellsing Ultimate Abridged, and starting new projects. Now, the Patreon has given us a new opportunity to pay people who were involved that we never got to pay before. So the Let's Plays were both a combination of us having fun doing random bullcrap and a way for us to continue to do our show while also providing people with some other material, some stuff that, like, there are 300,000 people following the gaming channel. So at the very least, we know that we have a niche of our audience that does watch it and enjoy it. It's not just, thank goodness it's not just some petty attempt.
Yeah. Because I know I've watched some and I die if one of them says something and I'm just like, oh my gosh. But
I'm glad you enjoy it.
I do. I grew up on Dragon Ball Z, so when someone said, oh my gosh, if you like Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged, you're gonna love this. And I sat and I just marathoned. And you guys do a fantastic job. I mean, your script writing is spot on. The characters are fantastic. How long would you say it takes an episode to be written out, scripted, everything?
The full process can take somewhere between about 80 to 100 hours. And I'd say the editing process alone is a monster part of that, because the scripting part takes about, I'd say, 2 or 3 4-hour sessions of scripting. The directing can take me anywhere between like an hour and 4 hours, like just as long, depending on like how many actors are in it and how many lines they've got. And then the editing process, that's where I'm sitting down and I'm working with it. And it's not like a full 60 to 80 hours straight. I usually like to stretch it out over about a week and a half. I'd say it takes me about 6 of those full days to do it though. There have been times where I've woken up, sat down, started editing, and not including times where I've gotten up to stretch or eat, I will close my computer down, brush my teeth, and head to bed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, dedication right there. Do you have any favorite lines that have come out of your Dragon Ball Z Abridged, or even from the original Dragon Ball Z?
Well, from the original Dragon Ball Z, I mean, you definitely have a lot of really big lines. You have Son Goku's Krillin. Are you talking about Krillin? You have the I'm a Saiyan raised on Earth. There are a lot of great lines from Goku, from Vegeta, from Piccolo. From our own series, it's a little difficult because you hear them a million times, and the first couple times you say them, they're so funny, and oh man, you got to get that down in the script. But then you've heard them for like 30th time, and you're like, God, our writing is crap. Whoever thought this was good? But I do have to say a lot of Frieza's stuff. Frieza was a character that I actually personally had a big part in, because when it came down to it, conversational humor and banter is one of my favorite things to do, and Frieza was all about that banter. So I would have to say a lot of Frieza's material is some of my best. I can't give you exact lines, I'd say, but definitely Frieza's character has been a big part of the show for me.
Oh yeah, that was a great arc there. Do you plan to do the entirety of the Dragon Ball Z?
Yes, we were on the fence for that for a little while, but ultimately when it came down to it, we're closing in on the end of Perfect Cell, and we're just not ready to quit. We wanted to see where we were, how we were, and we're just not done. We also feel like it would be kind of crappy to leave it incomplete at this point. Especially since Kai is coming out, and it's like, okay, you know what? This has given us all the more reason to keep on going.
All right. That's fantastic. Oops. And Dragon Ball GT, any plans for that? Because I know that's kind of like the black sheep of the Dragon Ball family.
Listen, once we're finished with Boo and we're putting our kids through college, we'll talk about
All
GT.
Right. Because I know, like, personally, I was like, oh, GT, why?
Well, GT seems like one of those, like, oh, you got to do GT. But part of me is also like, there's nothing that we like about it.
It kind of makes fun of itself.
Yeah, well, Z, it's like I've always said, if you're going to parody something, make sure you feel something about it. You're passionate about it. But there's just no passion behind GT for us. I mean, the original Dragon Ball, most certainly. But that one's like, we have a lot of positive love for the original Dragon Ball. So if we did go back, we'd probably do Dragon Ball as these segments, kind of like we do with our Kai. Just short, sweet summations of the entire saga. But with the GT, I really couldn't say. I don't see us doing it. But then again,
Yeah, you never know.
You never know.
Are there any other series that you would just love to get your hands on and parody?
That's a common question. I will say, I don't want parody, like the abridged type of parody, to be exactly what we do for the rest of our professional careers. Like, in fact, with the Patreon, we're looking to do original animation. We're looking to do original things, live action, all sorts of stuff. I even really want to start a comic here. But if I had to do another abridged series, personally, Fully Cooley.
Fully Cooley?
Fully Cooley was a series I grew up with. Its animation, its story, its themes are all things that I really adored. The story is a little bit thin, but that's because it's usually using a lot of symbolism and a lot of like character stuff, and I don't know. Also, the music is fantastic. I would love to tackle that series and take it in a very different like tone and direction from the original if I could, just to have fun with it, because again, I loved that series. But I would say that would probably be my first swing.
Okay, so passion really has a play in what you do.
Oh,
definitely.
Absolutely. I don't personally, and this is my personal opinion, this is not to shut down anybody, I don't believe you should parody something if you don't feel strongly about it. Because any kind of parody, any kind of deconstruction, any critique that you're giving or criticism or, what's the term? Well, either way, if you're handling something, I think you need to say something personal about it. And it needs to come from a place that understands the original material. Otherwise, you're just making your own jokes about something that already exists. And I don't know. It's a personal subject for me. I think you need to have a passion about it. Otherwise, there's no point.
I completely agree. That's kind of how it is with cosplayers, too. You have to have a passion or else it's just a costume.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely need to have a passion for cosplay. And maybe not about a certain character, but about the look of that character. Maybe something about that character's look just strikes you, where maybe you don't care about the character necessarily, but that costume, that outfit, there's something about it that just draws you to it.
You got to have that passion. It's so important.
Absolutely.
Speaking of cosplay, whenever you first started coming to conventions, did you see people quoting you, or because I know I've seen Ghost Nappas around, and did it surprise you?
It surprised us, if not only because, the first time we ever did a convention, we were not expecting the turnout that we got. We filled our room so badly that we had to do 2 one-hour panels instead of our 1 2-hour panel, and even then, people didn't get in. And that happened to the next year too, and finally we had to tell them, you got to give us a bigger room.
Yeah.
So it is kind of incredible that we have in fact gotten cosplayers of the characters that we've written, specifically of our versions of the characters. So it's not just surprising, it's also amazing, and I'm very thankful. I'm unbelievably humbled, I assure you.
All right. Well, thank you so much for all your insight, and keep on doing what you do because we all adore it.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
Have a good one.